So big news today, guys. Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. That is such a weird thing to say, but that is the biggest news of today, and everyone's still talking about it. It's still kind of breaking news. So I'm going to do this video because some people have been asking already about my opinions on this thing, and that's fair enough, but I just want to make it clear that I'm not a reporter. I don't have a lot of details in here. I'm not really savvy when it comes to, the video game market as a whole. I'm just a StarCraft commentator who has an interest in what this means and does have opinions, but just want to put a little disclaimer on there. You came here for my first impressions. I'm going to give it to you straight off, and then we'll get into some details later on. First impressions, I'm optimistic. I actually really like this. I think this is probably one of the better things that could happen, if not straight up the best thing that could happen to StarCraft, specifically. Yeah, the only other thing I could think of, is like Blizzard detaching itself from Activision and then going back to what it was in like 2009. And that seems heavily unlikely. So I think the best thing is a company like Microsoft coming in and buying it, not only because gajillion dollars that hopefully trickle down, which always works, but also because Microsoft has kind of elevated their status in people's eyes as far as a genuine company, I guess is the way we'll put it. You know what I mean? So the past couple of years, Activision Blizzard has dropped considerably in people's eyes. Now, it kind of started for us years ago in the StarCraft and esports side of things. We already started to see the cracks to a degree, but we of course did not know about the extent that the cracks actually were in Activision Blizzard. Then it came to light with all of the controversies they've had, and it's got a terrible image. It's got a terrible image, and they've done stupid things, and honestly, we are appropriately critical. But Microsoft has been kind of almost silently doing, not quite maybe the opposite. They're not angels, but they've been quietly doing the opposite. They've been supporting Age of Empires, giving it Definitive Edition, giving it expansions, giving it updates, giving it money. Straight up, just being like, hey, content creators, here's some cash. Throw a game tournament for us. And they're like, okay, fine. And I talk about that in my podcast with Dave AOE. So this is weirdly, coincidentally timed, and maybe some editing magic to show you guys those clips. But the TLDR is that Microsoft has been helping Age of Empires 2 in multiple ways. They even still support Age of Empires 3, and no one seems to talk about that game. And of course, they made Age of Empires 4. And that means that they are willing to back up older games and still see reason to do so, which means that they're making some money, not billions of dollars, but they're making some money on it. And they still believe in the RTS market as a future. Again, there's these weird conversations that happen in Twitch land, because esports, that RTS is just not viable as far as an esport goes. That it won't ever be big enough to be a real esport, to be on competition level with these other humongous esports. And maybe that is fair. Frost Giant is literally coming into the field saying that we don't think that's true, and we're going to make RTS a viable, humongous, like forefront runner of games. We're going to break the meta of game genres, but, we'll see if that's actually true. But what seems to get lost in those conversations is the whole, can it be okay? Can it be good? Does it have to be the biggest thing in the world? No. And usually people come in and they're like, we don't have to be the biggest thing, and they're right. But it's still this weird idea that RTS just is entirely not worth it, when we actually have not just Microsoft, but plenty of other companies creating RTSs in the last decade that are successful. The box, if you will, does sell, and the game is played, and people enjoy it. But it's not, again, changing the market, making people say that RTS is the future, or the same way that they said Battle Royales are the future. But it is there. It is there. And Microsoft, with Age of Empires 4, also coming in with a lot of backing, saying that we believe that RTS can still make us some money. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it is. So they're going to make some money, but they don't have to make billions of dollars. So there's still some of that credibility to making a decent amount of cash and still making good games, and believing that there's the perception of them might also be important, and not just the billions of dollars they make. So it's just such a different atmosphere. That's what it feels like, from Activision Blizzard to talk about Microsoft. And that's why I think a lot of people are hopeful. Now, I think a lot of people are hopeful also because anything different is helpful. Anything different. We have years of Activision Blizzard messing up and being not great. And we don't have that with Microsoft Gaming as far as their handling of all of these franchises. Maybe it's the same. Maybe it's even worse. We have no idea. But we know that it's different. So you can choose to be optimistic or you can choose to be pessimistic. I'm doing optimism because of my discussions and the view of Age of Empires specifically. You know, there's a lot of other companies that would not have had maybe this growing fondness in that genre that could have bought out Activision Blizzard. Maybe that's not true because Microsoft has a ton of cash, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like Microsoft is, weirdly enough, very close to StarCraft fans' hearts because they showed interest in RTS. So there's this little connection there, even more so than the guys, you know, over on World of Warcraft or over on Heroes or over on Overwatch. There's a little bit more of a connection with us and Microsoft Gaming is what it feels like. Not to romanticize it, not saying that because they did Age of Empires, they're going to revitalize StarCraft in particular. They are absolutely looking at all of these money-winning kind of games, like Call of Duty and World of Warcraft can, you know, obviously. But they even include StarCraft. And this is very much like beaten dog type of thing that we're just thankful they're giving us breadcrumbs, but they have StarCraft in the banner. They mention StarCraft as one of the franchises looking forward to holding on to. That's already different than Blizzard. Blizzard forgets about us. Blizzard doesn't put us in like their yearly reports. Blizzard didn't actually put us in the wrap up of BlizzCon 2019. We have been effectively forgotten about. And further evidence is by how late they are in at all responding to, you know, bug fixes and crashes and map updates. It just, to actually be put into an announcement is weirdly good. And again, it's not the end all be all. It doesn't mean that they're like giving us code that if we look really closely at StarCraft, it also says, guys, we're going to make StarCraft 3. You know, it doesn't say that, but I do think that their track record with RTS, their inclusion of us when they could have just said, thanks for World of Warcraft. Oh yeah, other games too, is significant. It makes me very hopeful. So the deal actually isn't done, guys, but yeah, that kind of wraps up my initial impressions. It's good. I like it. I really like it. I'm very hopeful that this means something for StarCraft. This could mean exactly what they did with Age of Empires. It could mean that they both update Brood War and StarCraft 2. Maybe they see some market as far as the co-op commanders and the skins go more than Blizzard did, so they actually go with that again. Or maybe they make a StarCraft 3 or, you know, StarCraft FPS, which is something that Blizzard also gave up on. I don't actually know, but I think it means something good. But it's not finalized yet. So this is where we get into the details. It's actually not closed until this transaction closes. There you go. Both these companies will continue to operate independently. But once the deal is complete, Activision Blizzard will report to me as CEO of Microsoft Gaming, the guys, you know, obviously writing it. So that is the details and first impression from this particular announcement. Let's get into some of the other things that have been happening as people talk about it and it circulates. Other thing that was noticed is that they're sponsoring the World Team League, so it's on Reddit right now. You guys can go check it out. That's really cool. I don't know if it actually does mean anything, or they just kind of took this announcement and ran with it and wanted to get some excitement. I have no idea, but apparently they're already including themselves in Blizzard-related things. So, thank you. The other thing I wanted to point out is Jason Schreier. Sorry about the last name, but this guy is a reporter. He's really cool. I really like his takes on things as well. But he reports the $70 billion, or I think maybe the Washington Post or someone did $70 billion for this is kind of a crazy amount. I think it's the most money spent on buying out in video games. It's or the WSJ, yeah. Wall Street Journal. So maybe they reported it. Anyways, he's bringing in all the little details that are, I guess, interesting as we watch this unfold. You know, it's going to be a lot of hubbub and discussion about it for a couple of days, and then everyone's going to kind of forget about it until another announcement happens. But let's be excited while we can. He points out that Bobby Kotick will continue to serve as CEO, which no one's really happy about. Not 100% clear whether Bobby will stay on. You know, that's something that we can I guess, hope for is that he doesn't stay on, because I think most people are in agreement that they don't really like the direction he's taken Blizzard. But anywho. And then an email went around, an excerpt from Bobby Kotick's email, is that June 30th, 2023 is when the operating completely autonomously ends. So it's still a year and some out, but I think I very much agree with his take. I've already kind of said this in this video, but monopolies are bad. So there are definitely not, there's bad things about this for sure. And monopolies are undoubtedly bad news. Could have positive effects on Blizzard. I think this really is something that I like to say, to point out. Under Activision, every game had to be a $1 billion franchise. Under Xbox, that will likely change, because I think that's true. I do think that's true with their track record in Age of Empires and specifically. So really like this guy's tweets. Go follow him. But that is some further details for you guys to take in. So that's that. That is, again, just kind of the initial impressions. Disclaimers out the wazoo that I just don't really truly know what I'm talking about. But kind of picking out some of the history of this company, and especially comparing it to the current company that we know, I feel like you have to be optimistic to a degree. You have to be hopeful to a degree. You can be super negative and pessimistic all you want, and that's completely fine, because we really don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, I think actually you take the details that you can find and you feel like maybe things are changing. At the very least, things will change in some way. We don't know if that's good or bad, but it'll be a change, which is, funnily enough, better than what it currently is, which is a lot of sameness with a trajectory towards worse. You know what I mean? So this is really cool. It's definitely something no one expected to wake up to. I put this on par with like Overwatch being kept secret, like everyone went into BlizzCon that year and it's like, what the hell is this going on? Like, this came out of nowhere, but I am happy for it in a very selfish way as a fan of Blizzard games, wanting them to be taken care of better, as a person in the industry that is esports. I think there's a lot of goodwill and prestige and just brand name, the miscellaneous things that Blizzard games still have that weren't actually really utilized quite well by Blizzard that maybe Microsoft will utilize. And I just, I hope some of the good news from this comes. I hope they start teasing us with announcements, right? And I would take teasers. I would take Microsoft tweeting, hey guys, what if we did something with StarCraft thinking emoji? I would take that. That'd be great news to me. I do wonder how this is going to impact the ESL discussion. So that's another thing that I wanted to talk about for a quick second. So let me bring that up. So this is what I wanted to bring up again, just a reminder. We already went over this in a previous video as far as the announcement of the EPT extension goes, which is that we don't know what's happening, but we highlighted this. Let's highlight it again. Asked about the likelihood of Blizzard continuing to support the EPT circuit after the expiration, Heyoka confirmed that talks with Blizzard were underway and that he was optimistic. I really have no idea. I would love to know. I would love to be a fly on the wall if this was something that Heyoka was told in the discussions, because it was so close to this announcement, or if this is also coming out of left field. And, if it was known, if this was, hey, by the way, this is going to happen, then I could see why that would add optimism to the discussions. If this is coming out of left field, then I actually think the fact that Heyoka was apparently optimistic, maybe this is just, saying it for saying its sake, but if he was, I feel like you get even more. You get even more optimistic. But that is a one point timing-wise that I'm very curious about. This comes out shortly after we're talking about the continuation of StarCraft's EPT circuit. It's going to be crazy year and 4-ish months, I think. Yeah. But that does it. Thanks again for listening to this more of a rant video. Didn't really bother trying to squeeze things in and make it shorter. And let me know your thoughts. Because this, for me, is a lot of good news, but there are the obvious downsides to, like, monopolies, basically. But yeah, let's discuss. Type in chat, type in the comments. I'll be streaming tomorrow and probably talking a little bit about it. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.